What is going on, guys? DBG here, and today we are going to be doing another tier list. In this video, we are going to be talking about the best budget players in NBA 2K22 MyTEAM. So, what do we define as budget? That's like a tough one. So, for me, it's going to be, I'm gonna say like less than like 10-ish, 15k-ish. There are definitely guys that are down in this range that I've completely missed. But these are guys I all know are like, I don't think any of these guys are more than 15k. These guys have all at some stage been less than 10,000 MT. Except for maybe Jordan Poole. Because he's kind of been hovering. He was under 10k at one stage, and so was Miles Bridges. Those guys might be above that right now. And same with Dinwiddie, because moments cards do fluctuate quite a lot. The rest of these guys are definitely under 10, or in the case of Josh Smith, have been under 10 at plenty of different stages. So, first up, Evo Gary Harris. So I'm putting Evo Gary Harris, when he gets up to his Amethyst, at B tier. He plays really good defense. He's got base 70 on quick. Like, I just think that he's one of the most underrated players in this, or he was one of the most underrated players in the game when he came out. Again, a really, really solid shooter. Defensively good. He doesn't dribble the ball well at all. And then it's obviously just a case of, like, he's just not great nowadays. Robert Covington. I think we're going to go S. I think as far as budget players go, we're going to go S tier for Robert Covington. Unbelievable defender, super nice release as well. His movement, it's not spectacular. I will say that, like, movement does leave a little bit to be desired. So, like, again, it's one of those situations where it's like some people aren't gonna like Covington, but at the same time, his defense is so good, his shooting so good, that you could argue him being the purely best budget player in the game, or player at his price in the game. It's just he doesn't offer too much on offense. So if you do need to run through somebody, unfortunately, you're not really going to be able to run through him. Okay, so now we have got Evo Taylor Horton Tucker. He sucks. He absolutely sucks, lads. Let me put him in E tier. I think there are going to be worse players than this, but he's going E tier. That card is really not it. So then, after that, we have got Alex English. I'm going to put Alex English in C tier. Like, a lot of people were so high on Alex English. Like, I remember putting him worthless on my main tier list. Like, he's not good. It's just because he was good in the 1 week in limited where he actually shoots well for having a 75 3 ball. Just because he's like that does not make him good. He's C tier. He's got a low 3 ball. His just overall game is not very good. Not the greatest with the ball either. Lambeer. As far as budget centers go, I'm going to put him B tier. I don't think Lambeer is good, by the way. If you're asking me whether or not I think Bill Lambeer is a good center, not really. I don't really mind his release that much because I'm the one person that will throw meter pro stick only and shoot with him with the meter with the stick. But it is still quite slow. He can't shoot in the corners, but it is greenable. However, I think B tier is right for him. I think maybe you could argue him lower. I don't think you can't argue him A tier, but I think B tier is the correct spot for him. Bojan Bogdanovic D. He was good though when he came out. I will admit that, like, Bojan Bogdanovic, when the day he came out, he was really good. Like, he was a more than usable player. But the problem with Bojan was that he's kind of got outdated quickly because he's not the fastest. You know, he's got good lateral. He's a good shooter, but he's not an exceptional shooter either. So, yeah, he's here. That's the best way I can describe him. He's here in D tier. Ingram better than English. B. Ingram plays no defense though. Like, Ingram's defense is horrific. It is absolutely horrific. Like, in my opinion, there are not that many worse guys to run than Brandon Ingram. in your team. So, see, no, they're not being worse defensive players than Brandon Ingram. His 40-something steal, he just doesn't feel good. I've used him enough times, and I'm like, there's just something feels off with this card. It's hard to pinpoint what it is with Ingram, but something just really feels off. But yeah, I'll put him on B tier. Like, some people would argue in A, but I'm putting Bruce Bowen in A. Bowen is just worse Robert Covington. I think, again, a lot of people are going to say that Bowen's better than Rocco. I just think it's the opposite. I think, obviously, they both do a similar thing. And you could argue Bowen has a better secondary position of 2-guard. Shooting-wise, I prefer Bowen. It's just something about Rocco's defense that has me putting Robert Covington here in S and Bowen in A. Reddish. Now, Reddish is B. Reddish, maybe I'm giving Reddish too high because of how good he was at the time. When Reddish came out, as this card was ridiculous. He was so good. Duarte's A. Duarte is the best of all the players we have so far. Or say he's the best, better than all the B tier players. He's one of the best of the players we have. Duarte has got a serviceable clamps, a brilliant release. He moves actually pretty well with the ball. No, I'm going to move Duarte into B. And move Reddish down one. Duarte is better than Reddish. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. CP3. Okay. So, he's obviously not C. It's B or A. As far as budget point guards go, CP3 is really good. And I actually don't like playing CP3 against CP3. Like, I gotta look at some other budget point guards. Is CP3 better than Clarkson? Maybe. Is he better than Marcus Smart? No. I'm gonna put CP3 in A. CP3 is still pretty good. I definitely underrated his diamond in my last tier list by probably 1 tier. Because Chris Paul is actually, he gets more steals than anyone else. I don't know what it is with the steal animations. They are ridiculous. Kobe White. He's not terrible. D. C, D, C, D. C, because he's big actually. He can move. I mean, Gallo doesn't miss. Doesn't really do anything else, though. The outside of his shooting, Gallo doesn't offer anything. His defense is poor. His movement is pretty poor. He is a 6'10" small forward, though, so he does have the height. And, like, again, height will always be key in 2K. No matter how much 2K want to make height not key, it will always be key. Like, there are certain things only smaller players can do this year, and height is still OP this year. Height will always be OP. Because this is one thing I will always say. When every single player has the same IQ, if every single player accelerated the same way and had, like, the same speed of their jump shot and all this other stuff, of course taller players, like, that's the thing, like, if a player, that's why Kevin Durant is such a unicorn, because it's very rare that a tall player that can do everything that Kevin Durant does. And the problem is in 2K is that there's a million guys that do exactly what Kevin Durant does in real life. So, yeah, he's going to go there. Darius Miles, A. As far as power forward at a budget go, he still does everything well. He's that glitched card. He plays good defense. He blocks shots at a relatively high rate. Like, is he kind of outdated? Yes. Like, I'm pretty sure he's been S tier the last times I made this list. I still think at his first time, he was one of the best small forwards / power forwards in the game. I think he was one of the best cards in the game when he came out. He had everything. And the fact he can get every badge, I know you can only put 3 on him, but he still can get every badge because he's a glitch card, is huge. So, yeah, for me, Darius Miles is just one of those super underrated players that a lot of people kind of forgot about. Griffith, B. And I know why you might be saying, like, how is Griffith in the budget tier list? Like, you can get this guy in, like, 2 hours of playing the game. But, when he came out, I thought Gary Harris is better than him when he came out. I still agree with that statement. I still do think Harris is better than him. But, like, this guard is still alright. Like, I don't see why you would use him when there are better guys for, like, super cheap. Like, you can get better cards for, like, 3K than him. But if you really want Darryl Griffith, you really want to run your Jazz team, he's good. Davion Mitchell. Now, Davian Mitchell's going B tier. I think everyone's going B tier. But really, like, all of these guys are at a similar level. Like, there's going to have to be worse players in this list. If not, we'll start adjusting the tiers a little bit. But Davian Mitchell's got like 95 speed. While he does a base dribble style, he has a really good left-right. As well as that, his defense is, like, his defense stats are ridiculous. He's a bit undersized, but his defense is still crazy good. So, yeah, I honestly think that Davian Mitchell is B tier. He's one of the better cheap point guards in the game. His release is so quick as well. Like, he's the best sapphire point guard in my team. He's arguably the best sapphire point guard in my team, and that's saying something because you guys all know how much I love Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs was my starting point guard last 250k quals. I say that and, like, there's potential. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to start Marcus Smart. Which of Marcus Smart, Ja Morant, and Gary Payton are going to play for me in 250? I'm not sure. Like, obviously Payton's the best, but I'm most comfortable with Marcus Smart. So, it is what it is. Then we've got De'Aaron Fox. At this stage, De'Aaron... It's funny, I'm pretty sure I put De'Aaron with tier ahead of CP3 in the last one. De'Aaron is good, though. De'Aaron is literally like Budget Fox. So not Budget Fox, he is Fox. He's Budget Jab, he's the exact same animations, but he's left-handed. Fox sometimes is expensive, though. His price fluctuates a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily suggest for you guys to go and buy a De'Aaron, but I mean, if De'Aaron's like 7 or 8k and you really want... Like, imagine if you want a Ja, but way cheaper. Like, De'Aaron's got all of Ja's SIGs, except he's left-handed. Like, I don't know why for the last 3 years, basically, since Ja's been in my team, Ja and De'Aaron Fox have been the exact same card, except De'Aaron Fox is a skinnier player build, and De'Aaron Fox is left-handed, and Ja Morant is right-handed. They have the exact same, pretty much the exact same animations. So, yeah, really good. DeAndre Jordan, another free card. I'm going to put DeAndre in B tier as well. No, actually, for cheap teams, DeAndre's A tier. Maybe even S tier. Like, this guy, especially when he came out, not so much anymore because we've gotten other guys that I think are more effective at his role than him. Like, I think Ha-Sung Jin is more effective in his role, and then YGG is just way better in general. But, like, when DeAndre came out, he was basically just... Obviously, Wilt was better because Wilt has the wingspan. Like, that's the big thing with Wilt, is that Wilt Chamberlain has the 8-foot wingspan. But outside of wingspan, DeAndre Jordan actually was probably better than Wilt. DeJounte, S. Now, DeJounte is better. He's not much better. DeJounte is, in fact, in my opinion, better than CP3. Like, you're paying about 5,000 MT for a DeJounte Murray card that I was cool with paying 20k for him. Like, I sold him, planning on buying it back. He was my starting point guard for quite a bit of my road to Peyton. Although, I will admit, it was when I was not very successful. And putting in Steve Francis and Marcus Smart kind of changed everything in terms of my point guards. So, like, he's not at the level of either of those guys. But still. We've got to at least put this guy where he belongs. He's not number 1. He's not the best. But this isn't the list where we're only putting in 5. Del Curry. I mean, look, Del Curry's B. Does he play defense like a Gary Harris? No, but he shoots the ball as well as pretty much any player in the game. Del Curry's release is so nice in 28. One of the easiest release to green. It's not the fastest. It is not the fastest at all, but his movement isn't great. Defense is not great. Not absolutely awful either. So this B tier is getting crowded. I might have to put Duarte. As much as I love Duarte, I'm going to have to put Duarte down. Yeah. Derrick Rose. I'm going to annoy some people. I'm going to go C tier. He plays no defense. You know what? He's not actually... He plays no defense. Doesn't have the hop quick for a step at a diamond. And like, if you're asking... And he doesn't shoot that well. If you're asking me who I would rather use, Derrick Rose or Davian Mitchell, I'll take Davian Mitchell. Derrick Rose is the best player down C tier right now. Des Mason... Again, another one of those guys that everyone's going to say, oh, he was great for me in Limited. I mean, he was great for me in Limited as well, but like... That doesn't mean... What is that? That doesn't mean anything. Like, great, he's one of the best players in the game at shooting with a 75 or less 3-ball. Well, of course he is. He has a decent release and a 75 3-ball. Like, he's literally just, imagine OJ Mayo, but worse in every single way. And that's what you're getting with Desmond Mason. He is genuinely OJ Mayo, but worse in every single way. OJ is better at everything and hold better badges, and it's just way better. Then we've got Dino. And look, I gotta put Dino, as much as I don't like Dino, Dino is A tier. Like, Dino Raja has got like 85 speed. He's got decent rebounding stats. Like, there's nothing... He can kind of shoot the 3 if he's open in the corner. So for me, like, is he Dino from last year? No, he doesn't have the 8 foot long wingspan. Is he Dino from 20? Like, Dino wasn't even that good last year. Like, was he? Like, we had an Opal Dino card that nobody used. We had an Amethyst Dino card that was pretty nice for his time, but like, his time didn't last that long. So like, Dino wasn't even the same last year compared to a 2K20. And again, they just completely nerfed Dino this year. So he's still A tier though. Potentially yes. Like, as far as budget centers go, there aren't that much better. Donovan Mitchell, A. He's just a little bit small. Like, if Donovan Mitchell had was 6'3" like he was in 2K, was 2K20 he was 6'3"? Like, if he was 6'3", we would be looking at still one of the better 2 guys in the game. Like, there are people that still swear by this card. And like, when I mean people, I mean like players significantly better at this game than I am that swear by this card. Because the way he moves, he's got shifty dribble style. He's got pretty much every key badge on silver, in terms of like shooting and movement wise. He actually plays a little bit of defense on ball. He's undersized though, so he can get abused in the pick and roll. But he's got that 6'10" wingspan, which is pretty good. Danielle Marshall, I mean, Danielle Marshall's D tier, but he shoots. Like, he was one of the more underrated primetime players. I actually used him quite a bit. I've used him in quite a few weeks of limited, and he's actually been good. He's been good for me as far as any situations where I've needed like Sapphire or Ruby power forwards. I've used Danielle Marshall, and I've had quite a lot of success with him. But at the end of the day, he's freaking Sapphire Danielle Marshall. He does one thing and it's shoot the ball. And when I mean he does one thing, I mean like he can't really play defense. He can't dribble at all. He does one thing and one thing only, and it's shoot. So yeah, that's where he is going. So then we have got Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson, C, B. Like, Duncan Robinson can still cook. Like, he's got shifty. I know he doesn't have the 86 ball handle, but he does have shifty and a super quick release. And he doesn't shoot from as far anymore now that they've touched what the way Limitless spot up works. He's back in the day, back when he came out, all you needed was an 89 3-pointer, and that basically was the Limitless spot up badge. So you used to be able to shoot from anywhere with Duncan Robinson. Especially at the start of the year, so many weeks. When Sapphires were needed for limited, Duncan Robinson carried not only me, he carried pretty much everyone I used to play against. When at the start of the year, when Sapphires were needed in limited, it was literally Duncan Robinson versus Duncan Robinson. However, I don't even think you can really argue that he's the best Sapphire in the game anymore, because Jonathan Isaac exists. And Jonathan Isaac is a million times better. Then we got Windler. Windler's not terrible. Like, B. Windler actually, he's literally like mini Clay. Like, Windler is genuinely just mini Clay. So, like, again, a lot of people aren't going to be the biggest fans of this guy, but for me, I'm always looking at it like, well, yeah, he's not quite as good as Klay Thompson, but, or he's obviously not as good as Klay Thompson, but he can still move quite well. He still shoots the ball well, and I think he's that little, no, he's not as good as Duncan. Duncan get the B, Windler got a C. Eric Snow, S. I mean, we might have 3-point guards here in S tier, but Eric Snow is so freaking good. Eric Snow has got a 3-point rating of like 90 something. He's got one of the best releases in the game. He's got the Del Curry release. His movement is pretty nice as well for a, actually no, his movement is okay. His defense is spectacular though. Like, Eric Snow, an absolutely fantastic, like one of the best defenders in the game at that point guard position. 6'3", but he's got a gigantic player build. Like, if you've ever used Eric Snow, you'll know he feels like he's 6'5", 6'6" in game. So there's a reason why, like, again, Eric Snow became my point guard for quite a while. Like, when I sold my... Basically, before I got Marcus Smart, Eric Snow was my point guard. And I had a lot of success with him. I had a lot of success with him when he first came out. And it's just mad that there's just... He's completely gone out of my team because Marcus Smart exists. Shooting's exceptional as well. As much as I did love Fred VanVleet. I wasn't as high on Fred as Ty was. Like, Ty was genuine. Like, people were genuinely using him in wages. Like, Ty was using him even when some of the better point guards were out. Because he could create and he could actually guard ball a little bit. Fred VanVleet, he has a special place in the hearts of a lot of people. But nowadays, I just think his time's kind of gone. His time's come and gone. So, I'm going to put him in A tier. Furkan Korkmaz. I mean, Furkan Korkmaz really shoots the ball well. Like, if you're looking for just purely catch and shoot, Furkan Korkmaz does that at a pretty good rate. He does absolutely nothing else. Like, his jumper is... His jumper's really nice. It's basically... It's like the quickly release, except it's on quick instead of normal timing. So it's quickly jumper, just a bit more quickly. For lack of a better way of describing it. And we got Gerald Wallace. I don't like Gerald Wallace. It's a weird one. I like the other Gerald Wallace. I've used him a few times. And like this Gerald Wallace, I don't know what it is that I hate. Because he's actually got a pretty good release. He's basically like a juiced up version of Larry Keenan. That's what this Gerald Wallace is. But there's just something about him that I really don't like. His jumper is okay. His defense doesn't feel good. And it should. Because we all know Gerald Wallace gets pretty good defensive animations. Everything about the card is good. Is alright in general. He's C tier probably. Yeah, I think I've just probably had bad experiences with this card. I think C tier has to be the correct spot for him. It has to be. So yeah, he's gonna go there. Glenn Rice. Like I don't rate Glenn Rice more than I rate Duncan Robinson. I think Duncan Robinson's better than Glenn Rice. I'm just putting it out there. I don't rate him. I know some people like him. I hate this card, so I'm gonna go C tier. He's probably B. You know, C. Harrison Barnes is not very good. D tier. Are there any guys in E tier are worthless? I really gotta get some of these low tier guys in. I think at this stage in the game, look, a lot of us have had good experiences with Larry Keenan, but he sucks. He genuinely sucks. I think Yao Ming at this stage, E tier. I think at this stage, Yao Ming has to go into E tier. Like, I know some people are obviously going to say, oh, Yao Ming he's a cheese ball. I'm just like, yeah, he is a cheese ball. He is a cheese ball. But there are guys that are equally as tall that have got way better speed and way better animations. So Yao Ming, E tier. Okay, so Rick Smits with that 25 speed's going to go E tier as well. I get it, he can mash, but there are better guys that can mash. Kyrie Irving. You guys are going to call me crazy. C tier. I hate him. I hate him so much. Give me Davion Mitchell over Kyrie Irving any day of the freaking week. Give me that Derrick Rose. Man, Kyrie's the worst player in C tier. I hate him. Hate him with a passion. So, then we have got Emmanuel Quickly. Actually, no, screw it. Let's throw in some lower players again. Mo Williams, worthless tier. One of the worst releases in the game for a point guard. Like he's literally like, imagine Walt Frazier with no defense. Bielitsa, E. He's not good. At this stage in the game, Larry Markkinen was alright the day he came out. At this stage in the game, Larry Markkinen is worthless. He is absolutely shockingly bad in my opinion. Like, he's slow. His jumper's okay. It's greenable, but he can't really play center. Can't really play power forward. Yeah, he's worthless. He's like, imagine a 10 times worse Vucevic. Okay, any others down here? Not that I can see, anyway. Not that I can see. So Quickly. I mean, Emmanuel Quickly's probably going to go D tier. I know he shoots the ball well and he's a pretty good sapphire. But I'm not that high on the card. Purely because it's a weird one with Jabari Parker. Like, he is point center cheese. There's no question about it. Like, he is point center cheese. He's not great. I don't like my power forward. I don't like his defense at all. It's non-existent. His shooting even is, I mean, it's like mellow release, but the thing is that he can play center and just run around your centers. Is he the most effective player in the world? No, but is he a bad player? Not really. Crowder, B. Cone. Good cone, though. Jalen Green, B. Jalen Green is, like, surprisingly good. He was surprising good for me. In terms of his movement and stuff, he was surprisingly good. So, they gave him quick dribble style. He felt kind of like... Imagine a much worse version of... As... Not even much worse. Imagine just a worse Zach LaVine. I'm not even going to say much worse because... While he is worse. I mean, there's an argument to be made that it's not by much. But yeah, he's got similar kind of stuff to that Zach LaVine card. Just can't really shoot from his deep. Jalen Green, he's expensive for what he is, but he's actually nice. I think later on in the year, I was about to say later on in the year we're going to get a good Jalen Green, but it's like, we're definitely not because, like, later on in the year, a 6'5" 2 guard is not really going to do much. Whereas nowadays, at this stage in the game, this is the stage of the game for the 6'5" 2 guards to really thrive. This is where we're going to be seeing so many people run with Diamond Harden and stuff. Whereas other years, we don't really see Harden. Suggs, A. Don't care what anyone says, Jalen Suggs A tier. Suggs has got like quick dribble style. He's got a really, really good and fast release. He's got like silver range, or bronze or silver range extender. He's got quick first step on bronze, I think. But still, he still gets the quick slash shifty bursts. He is one of the better point guards in the game still. Like, you can use him. You can still get away with using him in unlimited. Like, I used him for a little... I've still used him for a bit this season. Which is kind of scary. Like, again, an hour, 90 minutes into 250k quals, I was top 10 last time, running Jalen Suggs as my primary ball handler. As my starters. He got torched on defense, but I mean... He was pretty good. He was pretty good in the games that I won. Like, against good players, was he... did he struggle a little bit? Yeah, but he was still good. But James Worthy... At this stage, James Worthy C tier, but James Worthy always has placed my heart because he was good. Jimmy Butler... B pushing A. His release is pretty good, but his ratings for 3 isn't great. I'm not the highest on Jimmy Butler in these games defensively. He's got a short wingspan for his height. And doesn't get great defensive animations. I've kind of felt that since... I didn't like him in 20. I know some people really did like his Dark Matter in 20. I didn't like any of his cards in 20. I didn't really like his cards last year either. Like, I was someone that really didn't like that Opal Jimmy. I don't know what it is. I've just never really been a fan of Jimmy Butler in 2K. But at the same time, he's an objectively decent card for what he is. Like, he's objectively decent for a cheap player. Then we got Joe Harris. I mean, Joe Harris is one thing to shoot the ball. So he's going to go into D tier. John Havlicek. Hondo's going to go B tier because he's a cone. But I mean, I'd be very tempted. Screw it. I'm putting Do I put Hondo in A? Like, I think I might like Hondo more than most people. But that base 17 is really, really good in this game this year. Especially on next gen. I'm not the highest on it on current gen. But it is nice on next gen, that release. So, yeah. I'll go B. Could be A. Jonathan Isaac S. There is a no more no-brainer than this. 2000 MT for a guy that's in my squad for 250. A guy that is 1,000,000% going to be in my squad. There is a 0% chance that my squad does not contain Jonathan Isaac for quals. I know that because it's tomorrow when I have my team ready. Jordan Clarkson A. He actually gets pretty decent defensive animations, but his offensive game is so nice. He's got that base 107, which I have a love-hate relationship with that this year. But his movement is so good. Like, it's scary how quick Clarkson is with the ball. Like, if you guys saw, he gets a go behind the back as well. I think he gets hard in one. If you guys saw the Jordan Clarkson video on my Road to Gary Payton series, like, Jordan Clarkson carried. Like, I still had all my guys. I still had my Melo. I still had my... at that stage, I think I had Kevin Garnett. But still, Jordan Clarkson was the one that carried me to a few wins. So, am I Am I gassing Jordan Clarkson? Maybe. But I'm going to put him in A. Poole A. I'm definitely have too many point guards in A tier. Poole's really good. Poole's got the height. He does everything well. It's just not a lot of people have used him because he's a moments card. Which is fair enough. Moments cards are that little bit rare. They always kind of have been in 2K. But still, Jordan Poole is if you are going to try in a moments card, I would have said maybe DeJounte. But Jordan Poole, if you're going to try in a moments card, I would probably suggest Poole and Maxey as my they would be my 2 guys that I would tell most people, you know what, you should try out these guys. These guys are good. And he's fun to use as well. Calderon, like C. Calderon can shoot. Like if you can get Calderon an inch of space, he will hit shots, but I mean he doesn't do anything else. Josh Giddey. I'm putting Josh Giddey in this tier. I'm just saying, Josh Giddey, he's got Jason Kidd base, but he's actually got a pretty good upper. I'm pretty sure, I think he's got it on quick. If they gave us if that Josh Giddey could play point guard, I think people would be still using him to this day. I just have this weird thing. Actually, they nerfed his behind the back. He came with Dame behind the back before the behind the back nerf. And like, there were really good players. There was some guy who was top 10 like most of the day on the PS5 leaderboard who was running with Josh Giddey in last 250k quals. Like he had like an absolute sweat team, but he had Josh Giddey on his team. Like Giddey is actually a surprisingly good player. So let me get Josh Smith S. Like defensively, he's still more than competes. Offensively, he's not nearly as bad as people think. His release is just, or his jump shot is just a little bit iffy, but his release is good. So a lot of people can shoot with Josh Smith. So he's gonna go S tier. Justin Holiday, I mean, he shoots and plays defense. I'm gonna be. I have not used him enough. I literally used him in I was on an account with him and I shot around him in freestyle. I can't put him higher than B, but if you think he's higher than B, that's fine. I'm just gonna admit I've literally only shot with him in freestyle. Juwan D. He can't like. I'm not that bad with Juwan because he's decent in the post and he's got the good post animations, but I know most people don't use the post, so I think I gotta put him in D tier. Karl Anthony Towns, offensively he can still compete, defensively he can't B tier. Kenyon Martin sucks. His release is actually pretty good though. Like you can green with him. You can green with Kenyon Martin, even though Kenyon Martin again is only has like a 73 ball. You can green with it, and that just shows how good Kenyon Martin actually is when it comes to shooting the ball. Or sorry, how good that release actually is when it comes to shooting the ball. We will get a good Kenyon Martin card. This card's not it. Kevin Huerter A. Kevin Huerter is more. You know the way people play against you with Trae Young, when they left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Imagine if Trae Young had quick or shifty, and was 6'7". That's what you're getting with Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter's got Trae Young released on quick. He's 6'7", and he's got shifty, so he can just left, right spam. And he shoots, and he's got gold range and all those range badges. Kevin Huerter is so dangerous. Like there are very few people I hate coming up against more than Huerter. Like everyone whoever hates coming up against Trae Young, and I know an awful lot of us. Like I am not the only one. So many of us despise playing Trae Young because Trae Young is just he's just crazy good. He's just crazy tough to stop. We've all played as left riding Trae Young. But the difference is that Kevin Huerter is actually just does that but better. Like it's even harder to stop obviously there's mismatch expert on Trae Young. But trust me, it is harder to stop a left riding Kevin Huerter if someone knows they're doing than Trae Young. Middleton, Cone, B tier. Good Cone though. Really good Cone. Kyle Korver, Cone, but a bit extra. He's one of the best shooters in the game. I'm going to go... If you give him badges, he's B. If you don't give him badges, he's... If you give him badges, he's A. If you don't give him badges, he's B. I mean, he can get the badges, but I mean, so can a lot of players. So I'm going to put him B. Fields, B. Another Cone. LeBron James, C. LeBron's alright. He's alright. I don't know what it is about LeBron this year. I just don't like him. He just, when he stands still, when he dribbles the ball, there's a lot of things with LeBron that other years I've been a fan of LeBron. And again, I've never been LeBron's #1 fan. Like last year, I was like, you know what, LeBron's good. He's good. He's nothing special. And this year, I'm the opposite. I'm like, I don't even know how good Diamond LeBron is. I know there are a lot of people that really do like him. But even the day he was out, I was like, in my gameplay, I'm like, is LeBron even that good? Like, I wasn't sold on the Diamond LeBron when he came out. And this card is just the Diamond LeBron, but worse at everything. So, yeah, he's gonna go into C tier. Lou Dort. I mean, Lou Dort plays defense at a decent rate. He's not quite as good as some of these guys, so he's gonna go B tier, but not awful. Marcus Smart, no-brainer, S tier. Absolute no-brainer, S tier inclusion here for Marcus Smart. Him and Jonathan Isaac are better than everybody else by quite a bit. They are better than everybody else. Bagley, oh, how did you escape worthless tier? You suck. There is no player that has sold me more games this year than Marvin Bagley. He's so ass. I'm sorry, he's terrible. Like I was literally, when I would get this guy in draft, I would choose goal centers over Marvin Bagley. He can't catch the ball. His jumper is terrible, and he's awful on defense. Thibault. Now, Thibault. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm putting Thibault in A. I can't quite justify Thibault in S. By the way, there's a player that I don't have on this list because I made this list on Wednesday when, what's his name? When Eddie Jones was 18k. Eddie Jones is now like 10k. So Eddie Jones would be S tier. Eddie Jones would be S tier. I'm just putting it out there. But Miles Bridges going S as well. Hall of Fame interceptor. His jumper is, so not Miles Bridges, Mikal Bridges. His jumper is super nice, Mikal Bridges. Everything about him is good except for his dribbling, but he can run in circles. And like, I know you might be saying, what do I mean by run in circles? Like, if you catch the ball with him and you just run off a screen and you just run in a circle to the basket, he can do that. And like, there are times where, you know what, running in circles is all you need. There are 100% times where if you just say, screw it, I'm running in a circle, that works. It works perfectly for you in my team. So, yeah. Next thing on Mike Muscala. I'm putting Mike Muscala in B because he's actually no, I'll go and put Mike Muscala in C. For me, he's like a way better version of the likes of Larry Markkinen and Vucevic and stuff. He plays no defense, but he's a way better shooter than those guys. He has a quick release. He's got a release that I like, but I know everyone else hates it, which is set shot 4. I like it because it's easy to get off. And even though like most people don't like it, I think I just got so used to set shot 4 last year with Aaron Baines that I've been able to time that. And sorry, it wasn't Aaron Baines. I loved it on Aaron Baines, but it was because of Tyreek Evans. In my No Money Spend series, when I had like no players on the next gen, I started using set shot 4 with Tyreek Evans all the time. So, yeah, Muscala is going to go probably maybe a tier higher than most people thought. But I'm still going to stick with C. I think that's an alright tier for him. Okay, then we have got Miles Bridges, A. The problem with Miles Bridges is that he's not really capable of being played at a power forward. Like, he is a primary power forward, but he's 6'6", which is not great. But other than that, he's pretty much got perfect stats to be playing a small forward. OJ Mayo, B. If you give OJ Mayo all the badges that he can get, like, he can get clamps, he can get pretty much every badge in the game. So if you give him every badge, yeah, of course, he's a brilliant card. The problem is that it is quite a lot to badge him up, and also he can only get 3 badges, and he's a Ruby. Like, why the hell would you ever badge up a Ruby? But basically, OJ Mayo is what J.R. Smith should have been. So, J.R. Smith's release is what they gave OJ Mayo. They gave OJ Mayo all of J.R. Smith's dribbling. He is literally what they were going to make J.R. Smith this year. But they don't have the rights to J.R. Smith. I'm guessing something to do with him being back playing at college golf. But they don't have his rights, so OJ Mayo it is. Patty Mills, base 98. He's still C tier. He can score. Like, the actual, like, dancing around screens 3 hunting is it's kind of dead. But, I mean, Mills does it as well as anyone. If that's the way you want to play the game. If that's the way you have fun playing. Mills does that almost as well as anyone. Plays no defense, though. Paul Millsap. A. Like, Millsap, he's not quite Rocco. But, I mean, he's not that far off, in my opinion. I think that, like, Millsap's speed is what lets him down, but he gets much better post game than Rocco, and he's a much wider player build. So he can do everything. He's got like quick first step. He can handle the ball. He actually, I think, has better ball handling than Rocco himself. But there's nothing really wrong with the card except his speed is like high 70s. And I think that's one of those things that I don't think I would even notice if it was low 80s. But overall, Millsap is he's an underrated player. He really is an underrated player. Like, I think S would be a little bit too high, but like for me, I'm more than happy putting him in A. RJ Barrett, like C. His release is chicken. Like, he absolutely is chicken, but the problem is that, like, he's not the fastest with the ball. He's not the fastest without the ball. Can't reshoot from deep, but he's all right. Go Bear, Paint Masher. Put him in D tier. Or put him in E tier. He's terrible. But he has still destroyed me. Westbrook, I don't care. D tier. Westbrook can't shoot. Westbrook, did I put Westbrook? No, Westbrook's not worthless. Westbrook E tier. Westbrook can't shoot. He feels slow. He's not even on the same stratosphere. He's not in the same stratosphere as Derrick Rose. Like, if you're trying to argue, but what about Derrick Rose, who I put into a higher tier? There's not even a debate between Westbrook and D Rose as far as the Ruby cards go. Like, Pink Diamond versus Diamond, you can make the argument either way. You can make the argument Pink Diamond Westbrook is better than D Rose, but man, the 63-pointer Russell Westbrook dribble style card, I definitely was put him too low there and in worthless, because he is better than these guys in worthless tier, because they all absolutely suck. But no, he's terrible. Alter Ego Westbrook is terrible. Masked, unmasked, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Russell Westbrook is not that guy. And his Pink Diamond is one of the worst value cards in the game. Like, he's one of my favorite players to come up against, because you ever come up against Westbrook, it's just an all money spent player. Sadiq Bey, S. I think he's better than Rocco. Like, I know if someone is reacting to this video, they're gonna go crazy about this, but like, I get it. Rocco gets better defensive animations. Sadiq Bey handles the ball better. He moves better. His all-around stat distribution is better. And he doesn't miss, ever. Like, he's got that Eddie Jones release. Is he as good as Eddie Jones? Of course not. Eddie Jones would be one of my, like, no-brainer S tier players. If this list, if I remember to put him on the list. But Eddie Jones really is, he's exceptional, but so is Sadiq Bey. Scottie Pippen. Let's go into A tier for Scottie. Scottie is the best on-ball defender here. The problem with Scottie, even though he does get his own behind the back, which is really good. The problem with Scottie for me is just that his release, I don't know why, even though he only has a 1 3-point shot less than ML Carr. And like, I was looking through some stuff and I'm like, Scottie should be better than ML Carr. He's 6'8", he's got all the stats. But there's just something about it, Scottie, that puts him off S tier. Ha Sung Jin. I really want to put him in S, but I'm not. He's so good. Like, he is so good. His paint mashing is ridiculous. And he feels like the biggest player in the game. Then we have got Sim Vular. He's like, imagine Ha Sung Jin, but way worse. Sim Vular and Yao Ming are basically the same card. Dinwiddie, a 6'6" point guard, plays lanes well. Wide open, he can hit shots. I mean, if you want him to play lanes, is he better than DeJounte? Maybe. I don't really like him with the ball. He sets his best offense is to set screens. He was in my squad. He was my starting point guard actually to start the season. He was my starting point guard when I was losing a lot of games. Swapping him out made a big difference. Terrence Ross, C. He's just not good in general. I'm gonna put Troy Daniels in B. Because like if I'm out here with Del Curry, I think Troy Daniels is actually better than Del Curry. Troy Daniels is basically Del Curry, except he's got that base 31, which while it's not as easy to green as 28, it's quicker. So yeah, that's one of those things. And again, he's got every shooting badge for Sapphire. It's crazy. Tyler Hero's going B. Tyler Hero was like, imagine if Herder was smaller and didn't have quite as good shooting. That's what you're getting with Hero. You're just getting a worse Kevin Herder. So he's going to go into B tier here for me. I know, again, some people might say, oh, Hero's better. But it's like, let's just look at the stats of these two guys. Look at their badges. Herder is better, taller, 4-inch longer wingspan. And I would say cheaper, but they are in and around the same price. Hero's so cheap. I made so much empty on Hero. When he hit 3, I sold off like I bought like a bunch of Tyler Heroes for 5k. And when he hit 10 3-pointers when he hit 3 3-pointers in the first quarter of a game where he just needed 4 for the whole game, I sold off like 2/3 of my Heroes for like 11k. And I made a fortune. So, yeah. Now, let's go on to the next player, which is Tyrese Halliburton. C. Halliburton's not awful. He's not awful. He's not good either at this stage. Tyson Chandler, I mean, C. He's actually pretty fast, but again, he is a paint masher. Wendell Carter Jr., C. He's just fine. Junior Skilgauskas, he's a big man. Let's put him into B tier. He's a big man who can shoot like 7-3. And then Wang Zhizhi. Wang Zhizhi, one of the no-brainer S tier inclusions. And if you do not believe Wang Zhizhi is S tier, you've just never used Wang Zhizhi. Like, there is no player, like, there are a few players that I have real trouble with. Wang is one of them. Like, when I say players that I have trouble with, it's like Trae Young, to an extent Booker. Wang is just so good because he's 7 foot tall, but his player build makes him look like he's about 8'5". So like, it doesn't matter what height it says he is on his card. He is literally in game like 8 foot tall. Like I've seen him beside D-Rob. I've used him and matched up to D-Rob, and he feels taller than D-Rob. Like, I've matched up with him with Giants. Like, obviously, I don't know what they've done with the player build, but they gave him the same type of player build as Ha-Sung Jin. And, like, Ha-Sung Jin is only 7'3", but he feels bigger than, like, Yao. He feels bigger than Yao. He feels bigger than Rick Smith. They did something to his player build, and they did the exact same thing to Wang Zhizhi as they did to Ha-Sung Jin. And the two of those guys have got, like, the most ridiculous player builds in the game. So, he's no-brainer. Like, if I'm running a starting 5, it's Marcus Smart, Jonathan Isaac, Wang, Mikal Bridges, and Eddie Jones. I think you're getting that lineup there for, like, 30k. Smart Bridges, Eddie Jones, Wang, and Isaac. That lineup can compete with anybody. You can compete with any team in the game for 30k. So, yeah. That is pretty much it. That is the video, lads. These are the guys we have. Let me know if you guys agree. Let me know if you guys disagree. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.